Good morning. Good morning. This is the first week of August, and it is just so beautiful in the garden. The temperature is much cooler today. It's only in the 60s, 68 degrees. And so that is just so good because everything gets a chance to breathe. We get a chance to breathe, and also the garden gets a chance to breathe. Welcome to Catherine's Garden, and my name is Catherine Constant, and I'm so happy to be able to share this garden with you this morning. This is the day that the Lord hath made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. We are not so overwhelmed by the heat. So it's nice and cool out here, and such a pleasure after all of that heat. Yeah. A lot of things are coming and a lot of things are leaving us, a lot of different plants. The lilies, see my Casablanca lily there, that's just about finished. And I have another one on the other side. You see it? Yeah. And the gladiolas are done. And but now is the time for harvesting. I'm able to harvest a lot of wonderful vegetables. And now's the time of giving and just blessing God for all of his goodness. The bounty is on. Yes, the bounty is on. And I'm excited about this. Hallelujah. I'm excited about showing and sharing my garden with you. Catherine's Garden. So come and join me as we walk and tour the garden for the beginning of August. August 2018. Yay! This is a blessed time. And this bed is doing well. I am so impressed with this bed because earlier in the season it was kind of barren and I had to fill it out. And between the spillers and the fillers and the accent plant here, this is just looking spectacular. Oh, I love the squash plants, the color from that, and the impatiens. The beans are growing up. And then this plant here, I don't know what it's called, but it's going to have little red berries. There's one in the front garden as well. It's kind of weedy, so you have to take care before the berries ripen. I'm going to cut it down, but in the meantime I'm enjoying it. It's just making this area look so nice. Look at that. Look at the sprawling squash. My squash patch. Look at that. They're just moving, moving, moving. I love it. I am not going to go down there, but let me just show you some of the squash blossoms. It's so intense. I love it. And the bees love it too. And look at that, it's just trailing. They're just trailing all over this area. You know, I want the fruit, the harvest of it, but I am just enjoying the beauty of the garden. for now. As I stand here in the garden, everything is so still and calm. You can hear the crickets and the birds. It's like if they're right on time. And you can smell the beauty. You can smell the wonderful smell of the roses. I just love these roses. They've come back again for a second flush. Look at that. They have their own special scent. And these ferns are so happy. It almost looks like a bouquet here. You see the rose, and then coming down to the ferns, and then the trailers. It's like that's the spillers right here. That's the spillers, the fillers, and the thrillers. Yeah, this as well. So beautiful. I wanted to show you this. The hydrangeas have decided to start to shift in color. We know that fall is on the way, that we're winding down, because these are now turning beautiful, sort of like purplish color. I don't know if it's showing up on camera here. Here we go. And then here we have the last of the lilies. These other oriental lilies that I still don't know the name of, but I know it's not a Casablanca, but it is just fully bloomed. Usually these lilies, usually these lilies bloom in August. But this is the first week in August, August 1st, and they've already finished. I think this is the last one to open. Look at that. Look at those stamens. Look how pure and white it is. Anyway, the smell is just right. It's not so strong as it is in the evening. It's just right. Well. Here is the plant that I just planted, the azalea, and it's looking good this morning in its little new spot, don't you think? I'm going to make it into, shape it into a topiary. I tried to start that already. I was going to put it in a pot, but then it looked like it was turning colors. The leaves were turning colors, and I don't want it to die. So I said, let me plant it, put it in the ground, and it looks happy in its new spot. There's one on the other side as well. Yeah, here's the other one on the other side that I planted. Doesn't it look really nice there? I think it looks great. And it's going to give beautiful white blossoms in the spring. One thing with gardening, you have to plan ahead. You have to think about the future. And that's good. I mean, you enjoy the present, but you also have to think about the future and what you're going to do to keep things alive and keep things moving. This curly pink rose has decided to bloom again. Look at that. And it has quite a few buds on it. This is the first year that I planted this, and I have this in my garden, and it's doing fairly well. I'm very happy with it. Now my Glads, Elizabeth, she's on her last leg here. Falling over, but you know, hey, she's joining the company of Curly Pink in the garden. Now this hydrangea has not bloomed yet. It bloomed like 4 years ago, I think, and then I divided it, and now I haven't seen it bloom since I divided it, so I don't know, I guess it's getting established. But my miniature rose bush, it just keeps on kicking. I have to deadhead it and then possibly remove those yellow leaves. I'm just going to show you something. This is my hibiscus plant shrub, and it is starting to set. Let me see if I can get in here. Let's follow this path a little bit. I don't know if you can see in here. Yeah, that's where the flowers are going to come from, and it is spectacular. It's a showstopper in the garden, so I'm going to be looking forward to that. The garden is a little damp. I think the dew is on the grass. Yeah, it's dew. There's an old hymn that says the dew is still on the roses. Kind of reminds me of that. The dew is still on the roses, and the joy we feel as we gather here. I don't know if you can see the dew on the roses. Can you see that? Yeah, there it is. See the dew on the roses? And he walks with me, and he talks with me, and he tells me I am his own, and the joys we share as we gather near, none other has ever known. Bed. I updated this bed because, as I said, that angel trumpet tree was not thriving in this bed. Sometimes you have to move and shift things in the garden, and I had to move and shift that. And since I did, I think that it caused me to clean up this bed, and now it is really looking very wonderful. It's like a hosta bed. I don't know if you could really see that. And these are just the annuals in front of them. Just enjoying or just decorating this bed. Now this is my, every time I get here I forget what it is. Geranium. Yes, my red geranium from last year. And I overwintered it, and this one has really thrived here in this particular spot. I also have this other one, and now it's starting to bloom. Just decided to bloom now. I love these coleus. Look at the color, along with the sun and patience. Nature's colors. And I'm kind of playing with the colors too. And this pot here, that is a purple wave petunia with impatience. I think it looks so pretty in this garden here. Let's step back so you can get a feel for it. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, and by the way, this is my peach tree. I don't see any peaches on it. And then I found also my fig tree. Because I moved that other plant, I got to actually see the fig tree coming back. But this is my peach tree here. This is his second year in, and hopefully I'll have peaches soon. But anyway, it's just given me a lot of good height in this bed. Yes, this is the month of harvesting. Look at these tomatoes. I'm going to soon harvest them. I think I'm going to let them get much more ripe than I have done so far. The tomatoes on the other side, I like to harvest that much quicker than these. I think I'm going to let these be really ripen on the vine. Look at the squash plant. It's a trailing. I'm going to have to come up with a plan on how I'm going to handle the squash plants next year. Now that I know that they just really love being in this garden. And I love my marigolds. Look at that. You see how pretty that looks with the red tomato? This whole corner. I think that's a beautiful picture. And also with the squash blossom. It's just beautiful. And this side is picking up with the flowers as well. Look at that. See, we're starting to see what I want to see happening over here. Let me give you this vantage point. I want you to see what the tomatoes look like. It's beautiful. These are beautiful tomatoes. I just like how they look on the vine. Very pretty. And the squash blossoms in amongst them. You hear the birds? Well, look at this. My rose bush is giving me some new blossoms here. And as I said, I really love the texture of the garden. I love a full garden. And my garden has that style of naturalistic. Oh, look at the butterfly. Oh my goodness. Come back this way. Beautiful monarch butterflies in the garden. Hopefully he will fly back this way. But as I was saying, this is like the Gertrude Jekyll style of gardening and the Penelope Harp House, the old English or Victorian style of abundance, exuberance, and color. I like the fullness. I do. Oh, look at these leaves. Look at the squash plant. Look how big it is. I'm gonna put, oh, look at the dew on it. Look at my hand in the middle. Wow. And there is some squash growing here. Ooh, look, the flowers, beautiful. Look at those squash. There are a lot of blossoms. I'm going to have to really continue to watch out for all of the plants. And here is a daylily that I planted, and it's about to bloom amongst the Russian sage. I'm going to have to make sure that I pay attention to that and not miss that bloom, because you know daylilies only bloom for the day, the one day. Oh, but look at how beautiful my purple phlox is. And that is also a pass-along plant that was given to me by a pastor of the church that I grew up in. It was planted at my Aunt Tanty's chapel. They named it after her, Reverend Ann Wade Chapel. And at the chapel garden there was this phlox. And I asked him if I could have a piece of the phlox because it reminded me, I wanted it to remind me of my Aunt Tanty. Well, that color just actually matches so well with the cleome here. And cleome is a new plant for me that I planted this year, and I'm definitely going to add it to my garden again next year. Wow, that's so beautiful. Now this, oops, let's see if I can step in here. I'm really liking that bee balm back there. It's getting so big, and I'm glad that I planted it along with the butterfly bush and the phlox. It looks really nice over there. And these peppers have decided to start growing here in the front. That's good. That's good, 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 good. And of course, I'm getting more zinnias. Zinnias are opening. Everything's just so pretty. My eggplants are getting larger. They're showing off here. Let's see. The little ones, and the bigger ones. I also planted some bee balm up here. And cucumber trellis. I like this zinnia plant. This one particular one, I'm going to see if I can save the seeds to this and plant it again next year. Look at how it's just about finished. Yeah, I think that was the first one. But then in each stage, here's stage 2. And now stage 3. And stage 4, the beginning. I think I did it backwards, but anyway. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. And then now, my yellow daylilies. I just love them. And look at this, the hydrangea tree. The hydrangeas are coming up. They're thickening up, I should say. Now look at this. You see that? That's what's going to be red. Those berries on this. I'm going to let them get red, but then I'm going to cut it down. Right now it's fine. Oh, the lily up here is so fresh. I planted this hydrangea from a cutting. I propagated it, and I think it's happy here because it gets a little shade from the leaves of the squash plant. And then this is my cantaloupe. So I gave it a little vine here, a little support, and you can see. If you like this video, then like, share, and subscribe. Comment down below, how is your garden growing? And don't forget to like and subscribe to Catherine's Garden. This channel is dedicated solely to gardening and the joys of gardening. So come and join me and subscribe so that you can follow and keep up with all of the wonderful changes that are happening in the garden. Yes, have a great day. Bye.
Can't you hear it? Time is moving on. Time to subscribe to Catherine's Garden.